Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. We're going to be reading the last 5 sections in chapter 7, which is the questions and answers section in St.Germain, Earth's Birth Changes, channeled through Azina Ramonda. So let's go ahead and get started on this last section. And I've lost, oh, here we go. I put my bookmark somewhere and then I lost it. All right. So we're going to be starting off with the topic of the inner earth people. And if you listened to my previous videos, my earlier chapters, St. Germain does touch on what he calls the inner earth people. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So the first question, St. Germain, you made reference to entities that are on the earth and within it, the entities that are residing in Terra. Do we communicate with them? Many of your entities are in communication with them. However, it is kept, as you would call it, from the public dissemination. You see, it is not allowed for the mass to perceive, for it is not the ripe time. Question, who are these people on the earth who do communicate with the inner earth people? And who are withholding the information from the rest of the people? For one thing, your government is aware of this. But to answer your question, those entities are in communication in a harmonious fashion. Those are the brothers of yours that are here, but not of this plane. They are here from other dimensions, and they are here to act as emissaries between the two existences. And in doing so, they have understanding of the outward, the peoples of the outer core, which is you, and the peoples of the inner core, and bring forward cultural exchange in a manner of speaking, before diverse circumstance would bring this awareness to the general understanding of the populace. So they would have some manner of understanding of life as it is here on the outside of your earth plane. Question or statement. Not all of them are questions. Some of them are just statements, and then St. Germain expands on that statement. I think that we, being on the outside, have more light, at least physically, to be able to relate to someone who is from the inner core. Do you know why, my dear brother, you require the light of the sun? Because you have not so much light within your being. You require it from the outside. The peoples of the inner part of the earth plane, or of 5th and 6th density understanding. Oh, so he's saying the peoples of the inner earth part are of a higher understanding. So 5th and 6th density understanding. Some are 4th. The majority are 5th density. And to confront them, that is converse with them, one would require to bring forth more light into one's being. Before we could actually communicate, someone asks. This is so, for in bringing more light into your essence, you bring forward more understanding and compassion, less judgment, more unconditional love of your brothers, regardless of how they appear. And in understanding this, you are then properly prepared to perceive them, to communicate with them without dire circumstance as a result. Is this helpful? And they said, yes, it is. And he says, you will find them very loving entities. Some of the entities that are resident within the inner plane of existence are your sprites, your elves, your leprechauns, etc. They are very loving, very generous, very much of the light. They are manifestors also. They need not outward light, for they generate much light from within. St. Germain, would Aboriginal people like the Pygmies, the Amazon Indians, the Eskimos, would they be more likely be people of the inner earth? No, they would not. They are of another dimension, from your brothers of beyond that were here eons ago, who allowed certain of their beings to participate on the earth plane, and some have integrated with other species, as it were, and resulted in what you call the Indians and the Pygmies, Aborigines, and the Amazons. They are all different interbreeding of our brothers, but not of the inner earth. Do they, because of the closeness to the earth and nature and the ability to live within the natural realm without trying to transform it in this painful way, without trying to exploit the earth and its resources, are they closer to being fourth dimensional than those so-called modern men? Indeed, and the Lemurians, they are the ancestors, along with the Atlanteans, of what you now call American Indian. And they also, from Atlantis, were not originally from Atlantis. They were from Brothers of Beyond. That's very interesting. I am Blackfoot and Cherokee Indian, and my great grandfather was chief of his tribe. So that's very interesting to learn. Most people do have a certain degree of Native American in their bloodstream, in their heritage. If you think that you may, you should definitely look into that further. Speaking of the Lemurians, I was at Mount Shasta once and I saw beings in a huge circle going up to a spacecraft. And it was a celebration of joy and ecstasy. There was some form of communication going on that I did not understand. I just knew that it was going on. But what was it about? This is someone asking. It occurs many times upon this plane. It is certain that some entities upon Earth have access to the visual perception of what we speak. Therefore, they bring the message to the other brothers that would be disbelieving if an entity popped into their existence out of nowhere. Now, what you perceived were merely entities of the inner earth, for there is an access there in Mount Shasta, and the entities of the brothers of beyond in conversation with one another. The celebration was merely one of joyous greeting, much as you would have with a loved one that you have not seen for a while in your time. They are very much in ecstatic joy most of their time, for that is their understanding of life, joy. It was really an interesting experience to be able to see that. Are they here because they live here? Are they here to help us to heal the earth? What sort of interaction do they have with us? All of the above. They are here to assist. They do take residence upon earth. They are here to herald in the age of awakening of all the other entities upon your plane, not only through verbiage and communication in this manner, but by example. For when allowed, they will be divine examples. I really enjoyed The Hobbit and just wanted to know if this was purely fictional on Tolkien's part. It was inspired, it was not fantasy. The gnomes, elves, sprites, fairy queens, etc. They are not fantasy either. However, they are not apparent to common people. They will be. You will have a joyous merriment upon your earth, hand in hand with all these entities. But first, you must learn not to judge your neighbor. For in viewing these entities, you will find they appear quite different from yourself. So superficial physical appearance must become unimportant to you. Very interesting. I have heard talk about that with a lot of people that communicate with the angels and do a lot of light work and share it in the community of YouTube. If you've not heard of Sarah Hall, she is one of them who actually has a podcast, and I listened in on that podcast many years ago, and she was talking about those beings, the elves, the sprites, the fairies. They are always among us. They are real. They're not something that's fantastical, but many people don't see them. And I still struggle with understanding that. And I would love to believe that. I think that pretty much anything we can think of at this day and age, if we can think it, it's either being done, been done, or will be done, or does exist in many shapes and forms. All right, so now let's move on to the next section titled On Ascension, Levels, and Densities. Lots of talk about ascension these days, so let's see what he has to say. Question: you talked several times about different incarnations that you have had. Did you ascend to the 7th density from Earth? And he says, indeed. And is it a good place to be in order to do this ascension? I mean, are there other places just as well suited to make this ascension? The physical plane existence is wondrous indeed, truly a marvelous place to be, for it is green. It has the vegetation, it has water, which is a glorious essence upon your plane. It has the sun and moon in harmonious rotation around Earth. It has the small life, insects and birds. It has all of this. It is rampant with divine essence. It is truly a wonder. Oh, wait, just a second. My dog must be barking at something that's in our yard. Sorry. And in retrospect, as you would call it, pondering nature, this life upon your plane. It is simpler in a manner of speaking to observe divinity before your eyes, you see? However, all planes of existence are wondrous. Each one has its own gloriousness. Each one is divine. It is part of this frequency, referring to himself, vibration that has a preference for this particular plane. But I am in no way stating that the others are not as divine. Is this helpful? So he's saying that all planes of existence are divine. There's not one better than the other. It's wherever you are. Is ascension better than, I don't want to say better. Is it easier through this human form than it would be through an angelic form? Angelic forms do not ascend, as you know ascension to be. However, that which is called non-physical, as you would perceive it to be, would be simpler, because you are not so based in third dimension or physicality. However, regardless of where you begin, as you would perceive time to be as beginning, it is only a moment in the total illumination of it all. It is not that it takes longer as you perceive time to be in one place or another, for it always only takes a moment. What you perceive as time will dissipate, and you will not even be aware of time passage as you progress towards superconsciousness, towards fourth density. You will not perceive time in the same manner. Superconsciousness comes prior to fourth density, someone's asking. Superconsciousness is fourth density. It would come prior to ascension, which is seventh. One other question. It seems to me, to use an analogy, that I would be at the first floor of a 12-story building, and you seem to be on the 12th floor. This is not so, my brother. You have as much knowingness, and so do all the rest of you, as that which you call I or any other masters that are coming forth to assist. We are here to illustrate unto you that you all know it all. Except that you are here and we are all listening to you, someone says. I am here as your mirror, your grander self, the soul essence that you are opening and flowering into or unto is not your third dimensional self that you perceive yourself to be. It is far grander than that, far more enlightened than you could even imagine within limitation. And that part of you indeed has the knowingness. You need only to allow it to encompass your being, and when this occurs, we will be of no use any longer. And this is the ultimate end. Thank you, my brother, indeed, he says. If we do not ascend on this plane, do we have to come back? And if we do, why can we not come back with the memory of what we did wrong last time? That's a great question. First of all, you did nothing wrong last time, as you would call it. Secondly, you may go where you choose at the termination of this embodiment. You may go to another plane of existence that is physical or another plane of demonstration that is non-physical, and you may remain there for as long as you choose. And when you release that embodiment or that life experience, if it is not non-physical, then you may go also where you choose at that point in time. So you may stay upon earth in the embodiment that you are in for as long as you like. When you release the concept of time, there will be no age, and when this is so, you may take your embodiment with you as it is, or how you would like it to be. In superconsciousness or fourth density understanding, you may manifest your embodiment as you would desire. And why do you not recall? That's what he's saying here. First of all, when you are incarnated in physical density, that which is third dimensional understanding, you bring forth with you limitation because of the embodiment. You see? An embodiment has definition. It is skin and bone. In order to maintain this concentration of energy and the focus upon this plane, it would not be harmonious to recall all the other existences in which you are occupied. I will discuss simultaneity in one moment. If you were to know past incarnations, all of them, then you would have major confusion. You see? Simultaneity is the existence of the past, the present, and the future all together in the now. They are all overlaid, as it were. They are all occurring now. The future is occurring right now at this time. So is the past. If this boggles your mind and burns your fuses, then bring forward a bit more understanding, knowing that you are in the grander soul essence, in unlimitedness. You are involved in unlimitedness, which means there is no perception of time because time is a limiter. It is defined, and when anything is defined, it is limited. Therefore, when you perceive no time, there is no past or present or future. It is all simultaneous. So, all the screens are running at once, and you may alter your future and your past. And those things which you call deja vu, etc., many of you do not contemplate that it may come from your future also, not only from your past. I am so sorry. I don't know what's going on out there. It spills over from time to time into what you perceive to be the present. And although you are not consciously aware of it, the present from time to time spills over into your past and your future. And the embodiments or personalities that are exhibited there as part of your soul essence wonder why it is they recognize something that upon this plane you are involved in at that moment. Because all is part of you. And there are many foci of that into different dimensions. FOCI, sorry, I'm just not familiar with that word. And different expressions. As you gather more and more of your light essence unto you, you become lighter. You become more knowing. You become more in tune and aligned with the totality of self. Therefore, you have more and more access to the knowingness. Indeed. Evolution or unfoldment is at different points in your different existences. For instance, in one of your life existences, you may be 6th density while you are 3rd density here, in transition of 4th, and you may be totally entrenched in 3rd density in another existence, while being 5th density in another. So when you release your embodiment as you perceive it at this point in your time, you have choice, total free choice. Human free will is divine. What density or level is our sun at? 12th. St.Germain, you mentioned that Mother Earth is getting ready for her transition from 3rd level density to 4th level density. Does that mean that the 3rd level will still be here as a Mother Earth, but it will not have a 4th level also? Indeed, it is called parallel existence, a shift in frequency. Occupying the same space in the cosmos? Is there also then a 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th occupying the same space? When you come into 7th, there is merging with all that is, for there is no more physicality. When you come into 5th and 6th, there is less and less density. Therefore, it is, as you would perceive it, almost transparent. And the ascension of the earth is merely what you would call a disappearance, much likened unto the ascension of all the masters that you have had upon this plane. But it will disappear from whose sight? Those that are in the 3rd dimension, and he kind of trails off. It will not be apparent in perception to any that are physical, 6th and below. So 6th density and below, it's not going to be apparent or obvious there's no physical change, which is, I think, really hard for people to understand. It's an energetic and a vibrational and a frequency change. And of course, it will change how you perceive things and how you see things, but nothing will physically change. So I think that's a hard one for a lot of people to grasp, and understandably so. 6th and below, well, then an entity that remains on the 3rd level of density when the Earth goes into 4th density, what happens to them? Will they still be around on a 3rd level? There will always be 3rd density entities, as in the understanding of this Earth plane. And as the Earth herself comes into ascension, those entities of 3rd density will bring forward more and more light into their being and progress towards 4th, 5th, and 6th density. Therefore, as this occurs, there will be less and less of 3rd density Earth and her beings. You see, when ascension occurs, it is automatic that all the rest of the light is brought forward. This occurs with all entities, regardless of their embodiment, whether it is planetoid or whether it is humanoid. Ascension and the lack of perception of it by an entity is merely because it is already resolved as unified within the all that is. It is one. It is not separate from the form of a planet. This transition from 3rd to 4th, is it going to happen instantaneously, like over a period of minutes, or is it over a period of time, like years? Ascension takes but a moment indeed. So again, the audience is focusing heavily on time, understandably so, as we understand it. I have another question. There are many, many people who write about ascension and who speak about ascension and who may have ascended themselves. Why are there not people on this plane who could show us ascension? Would you like to see an ascension? What I mean is, would you like to see it before you in order for you to perceive it so that you may express it in another entity? And they're saying yes. And he says, this desire is your need for proof to yourself. That it is possible. Ascended entities, those that are in the knowledge, the knowingness of the all that is, would have to bring forward separation and a focus to carry their energies so that they may express upon this plane. It is disharmonious for them. For some entities would have to bring forward as much limitation as it would take to have the form in an embodiment and then reascend. Coming forth unto this plane would be coming forth unto third density. So that is why masters who can show you that do not do that. This is so, for it is disharmonious for them. That is why we are coming forth in this manner. An entity came forth in fourth density that is widely known upon your plane, Jesus, to illustrate that of which we speak. He came to be the personification of Christ consciousness, and he was reverend, and the power was given unto him. And he did not desire this. He desired for each entity to know that they also may do grander things than he. He said this of himself. He was the mirror. He was not desirous of being the altar. If this were to occur again in your time, and a master come unto you and reascend as was done in this particular incarnation, then you would observe the entire drama of the Piscean age being replayed. Another 2,000 years or so would have to pass before the hearkening of the Aquarian age. It is desirous of mass consciousness at this point in time that this does not occur for obvious reasons. However, if everything exists at the same time, where is the Christ consciousness? Within you, each and every one of you, blossoming at this point in time. St.Germain, if our sun is at this 12th level of density, is there a particular highest level of density that we can get to in our particular universe? There is universal consciousness. There is galactic consciousness. There is consciousness of the cosmos, which is an understanding of other universes. That is cosmic consciousness, as it is termed here on Earth. However, that term of verbiage is used interchangeably with enlightenment, which is not always the case. There is the consciousness beyond the cosmos, beyond all the universes that exist, and that is the source that is beyond the source, you see? And all is eternal. There is no one stopping point, as you would call it, because that is finite. We are speaking of infinity, for there is no one density. That is the ultimate expression of divine understanding. However, universal consciousness, the consciousness of a universe, is about 30th density. When they talk about God or the first cause, the original source, and then he fragmented himself into the sun, who took on a personality. So this is kind of a statement, and then I guess St.Germain's going to. So when they talk about God or the first cause, the original source, and then he fragmented himself into the sun, Jesus, who took on a personality, ... And then St.Germain says, this is not how it occurred. The source contemplated itself, and in doing so brought desire into different expressions, for it felt itself desirous of expansion, of more knowingness. Therefore, 13 essences of soul energy, bodies of energy, monads or oversouls were burst into existence from all that is. From these bodies of energy, there came fragments, you see, and these fragments were separated by male and female. Male essence, female essence. This is now called soulmate essence of either male and female, of both. Together in the totality is the all that is you. The Lord God of your totality is this body of energy. In this fragmented state within this body of energy that is called male or female, there are certain frequencies that are together in harmonic understanding of personality. That which is brought forward to you in this manner is the personality of Le Comte de St.Germain. So he's saying that's who he is in this personality speaking to them. There are other fragments within that body of energy that have the harmonic understanding of different personalities. This occurs with you also, and it is expressed upon multitudinous planes of demonstration. Whether they be physical or non-physical, there are both. It is an entire body of energy. The essence known as the sun has many of these fragments together, for more of the light is put together in one understanding. They are fragments coming together to possess more light than the embodiment that you would perceive as being yourself. It is through this understanding of a certain harmonic grouping of frequencies that this personality known as the sun, S-U-N, was born. It is also part of a grander essence that is one of the 13. Is this helpful? It is, sort of. It is said that the one source is God, and he had the Son, S-O-N, not S-U-N, and then the Holy Spirit. Now, God the Son was more manifest as a physical manifestation in the universe, whereas the Holy Spirit came about as being more spiritual in terms of their essence. And I do not see where that fits in terms of what you are saying about the 13 essences. That is one interpretation. The interpretation that we bring forward is the source, which you call God. And then there is the Son, which you call physical embodiment, S-O-N, which is what you call personality. And then there is the Spirit, which is the essence within any embodiment to give it the life force. There is a difference between soul and spirit. The spirit is the life force of the embodiment, the silver cord which is severed when an embodiment departs, to gather that spirit into the rest of the soul essence. The spirit has personality as well. It is part of the soul, much as the soul is part of source. So in three-dimensional experience, there are those three different perceptions. The God, which is the divine essence of you, the Sun, which is your physical expression, and the Spirit, as you call it, which is the etheric expression. And the etheric expression, or your auric field, produces what you call your embodiment. Your embodiment is the result of your etheric being. Those are the three that you perceive in three-dimensional understanding. This is the interpretation we bring forward. So we're going on 30 minutes, and I still have three sections left. So I think I will stop there for now because that is a lot of information that I just shared with you. And the last three topics that we have, they're not so long. Yeah, I'm just wondering if I should keep going or if I should. I guess I can just keep going and you can always pause it just to finish it up. So now we're going to talk about AIDS, AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome. This problem that we seem to be having with AIDS, and remember, this book was written between 86 and 89 is when these were taken, very much at a time when AIDS was not understood. The scientists did not know what it was. They could not treat it. Very different time than where we are now. This problem that we seem to be having with AIDS, is this going to be resolved, or is this something that is going to devastate the planet? I mean, is this what the Bible talked about when it speaks about a plague that would come upon this planet in the final days? First of all, this plague within the Bible, that is not the only plague upon your plane. It is known as the diseasement of the soul that is expressed in the embodiment. The resistance of the embodiment for health. It resists health. It yearns unto diseasement. And this is because of the decadence that has been rampant upon your plane, and the non-recognition of sovereignty within self, and that of other entities. It is the expectation of something for nothing, pleasure that is superficial. It is to take responsibility for the God that you are and to get beyond the superficiality of perception of another entity. It is allowing one to transcend the merely physical and the pleasures that are derived thereof. Immersing oneself in the pleasures of third-dimensional understanding is bringing forth more and more desire to keep you here. And that is why you have been on the wheel of life for eons. This is going to kick you off, as it were, to allow you to desire something more than physicality. It is a grand awakening, as it were, and it is by your own boot that you are kicked off. And you see, AIDS, it truly is an aid, AID, an aid to the awareness of what you call metaphysical, beyond the physical. Is this helpful? I don't know. I'm going to have to, I guess so. And he says, yes, thank you. And he says, yes, thank you, my dear. It was heavy on the thoughts of several in this room. So apparently St. Germain knew that a lot of people were wondering about this because it was such a new a thing that we didn't know anything about. Now we're going to talk a little bit about St. Germain. Was your last incarnation that of St. Germain? And he says, this is so. The last embodiment within your understanding of time was as Le Comte de St. Germain. However, another embodiment will be formed, but not to the birthing process, after superconsciousness. Thank you, my dear, indeed. I do have a couple other questions more relating to your incarnations. Did you enjoy one more than the others? Several. Each one of you have had multitudinous incarnations to the point where it is difficult to keep track of it all. This is true for each embodiment, for the soul essence is so diverse that expression in every density and every physical plane is accomplished through one soul essence. However, that which you would call preference on my part for a particular expression, and they say yes, and then they laugh. I do not judge my expressions or embodiments. However, I did enjoy heartily that one called Christopher Columbus. I have an affinity to the sea. The same questions are asked over and over again. Do you not ever get tired of hearing the same thing about the earth destroying itself and when we come into superconsciousness? Does that not ever get boring? And he says, my dearest brother, I will respond. I take pleasure and much joy in responding to such query. That which you call repetition, I am here to do, for you have heads of rock, and it is through much repetition that it is penetrated a bit. That which you call boring, all of life is joy unto me, and it will be unto you as you understand unconditional love. Each query that is brought forward in the asking is new and fresh to me, for each entity is new and fresh. Even yourself, in a moment's passage, will be different unto me. Therefore, I participate heartily and with much joy with each and every one of your grand lights. I love you all so, that is why I am here, to gently and compassionately lead you back unto yourselves. I do this gingerly at times, and at times I plant my foot within your rumpus. However, it is always done with love. What do you actually see when you are not coming through Azina? How do you actually perceive? For instance, this afternoon I was standing on the balcony and I thought, St. Germain is out there looking at me. I was wondering, can he see me standing there? When I am merged with all that is and the consciousness is not separate as a personality, then I perceive nothing in particular, for I am all that is. I am that I am. I am unified. I have not eyes to perceive at that point in time. I need not, for I am omnipotent and omniscient and omnipresent. However, there are times when I do bring forward certain focus of energy, and as you would term it, pop in and out from time to time. I occasionally eavesdrop merely to familiarize myself with your plane of demonstration, and to be what you would call companion with your soul essence. I do this from time to time because I love you all so. I also express in other frequency groupings known as other personality. Therefore, my essence is known as Merlin and other groupings also. And I come forward in this manner and I perceive whatever is about when this is occurring. However, what you are speaking of is of my popping in and out. So he's going to say something about that. You may feel my presence from time to time in your contemplation, and as you call upon me to accompany you within your meditative state and within your slumber, I will hearken unto you. You need only beckon me. Call upon me, and your thoughts that calls upon me resonates to that which I am, and I will come unto you and be there as you would call a brother in fellowship. Is this explanation sufficient for you? All right, so the last section on name changes. I have read some things regarding the correlation between name and form. When you think the name at a certain level, you produce the form. And he says, indeed. So if I thought of your name as St.Germain at a certain point, then I could just produce the form. A name, or that which someone is called, is a frequency, for it is tone. It is very much like a mantra. You see, it is tone that is combined together in a frequency combination that will represent a certain personality. This is of which I spoke earlier in your time. When this occurs, it is responsible for the response known as appearance of embodiment. For embodiment is the result of your etheric being, which is soul essence of a certain frequency vibration. You will all eventually feel the desire to change your name because you are changing your frequency. All of you will eventually come unto this yearning, and fear it not. It is not the dissatisfaction with what you are, but the yearning to resonate to a higher frequency. That is all. The name, it need not abide with you for all eternity. You may change it as often as you like. When you become uncomfortable with the particular name, that merely means that certain aspects that you were resonating to before, you are no longer resonating to now. By changing your name, you are merely reflecting that you are changing your essence, and that is all. There is nothing wrong with it, my dear. If you would desire to be called by another frequency combination, then do so. Fear not. The tittering of your comrades will only be momentary, for it will surprise them one day when they also desire to change their name. It is very commonplace on this plane of existence to change your name, and that is why. Because the frequencies are rapidly becoming enlightened, higher as it were. When in fourth density, and you are having your name repeated unto you that is of third density is reinstated, you see. Because the vibration is pronounced unto you and your soul essence resonates unto it. Can you tell me what my name should be? Should be? First of all, there are many names. There are fourth density, fifth density, sixth density, etc. And the person says, I want to go to the top. It would be more harmonious for you to resonate gradually as you progress in the unfolding of yourself. This that you have as your name is currently of third density. However, there are certain frequency vibrations that are different from your previous name. That is why you would desire to change it, why you are not content with it now. For now you are in search of your fourth density self. What is resonant with you at this point in your time is Shaldana. So that's interesting. You will bring forward the resonance of this each time you state it. The entities that are coming forth upon this plane, you will notice have very different names than has been commonplace on Earth. This is why they are already resonating to their fourth density names. Very interesting. And then somebody else asks, can you tell me my name? And he says, shall I say form a line? Because now everyone's asking. I will indulge you, my dear sister. You are truly beauteous. I am your mirror, Chrysona. So that you do not misunderstand, the spelling of this is either CH or a K. However you would prefer it, for that is not important. Chrysona. Is this helpful? So Chrysona. And she says, I like it. It is wondrous to spend an evening of time with you in this manner. I truly am enlightened when I return hence. Become as a fish, swim heartily in the water of life, joyously, not concerning yourself and fretting yourself with the foodstuffs in your time to come, or your abode. For your abode is the water of life. You are within it. Residence is not a place, it is a knowingness. Your home is in your heart. What you would desire to have is peace and harmony and alignment within your life, within your knowingness. That is your light, which is coming forward. Allow it to shine upon you as the sun does upon a fish just below the water. Bask in its light, the light of you. Dance within the water of life. Blow bubbles, if you will. Play, partake of life, enjoy. For joy is the state of being of a god, not furrowed brows. Smile. It brings joy to the heart automatically. Allow that joy to seep through you unto all the other essences you see in your life. Share your light and share your joy. Partake with another in embrace. Allow your fingers to tickle their back. That is your expression of giggling and physicality. Bring the sparks of unification through yourself in the explosion of laughter unto this plane. I will see you again very soon in your time. It has been an illustrious evening. I will bid you farewell. Namaste. Wow, lots of information in that section. Wow. Okay, so that's a long video. That's, I think, maybe one of the longest I've made so far. So we will stop right there with the questions and answers. I've given you plenty to ponder, and I will see you again for chapter 8. And I will see how many videos we need to make with that one, but we'll see you again very soon for chapter 8. And in the meantime, as always, as usual, please take care of yourself. Please take care of those around you. Stay in peace, stay in harmony, stay in gratitude. Much love to you all. Bye-bye.